And so there's a lot of headlines. There's a lot of things saying that there's a lot of negatives, right? If anyone goes on any of these websites, they're going to see some crazy stuff. They'll see, let's just name some. NBC News, flying in America is about to get more expensive and less fun. USA Today, government shutdown hits spring break travel with hours-long TSA lines. Yahoo, airline ticket prices are suddenly soaring. We have all these things that people are avoiding crowds and saving for travel. They're not going. We have gas prices. Last month, it was $2.92, and now the current national average is $3.71. You have all these things that I would say, I guess the media or other people are saying that, it's really negative. This is your peak season, and people probably aren't going to be coming anymore, or they're holding off and all these things. And so I'm kind of curious, maybe an investor sees these headlines and they're thinking to themselves, okay, well, maybe I need to kind of bunker down, doomsday prep in a way. Do I need to have like a nest egg or some kind of savings that I've been pulling off month after month to have it ready for these bad times? Or, should you be putting money aside, or what do you think about this?
Well, one, we have to think of because headlines don't dictate reality. Like, we should know that as consumers of media and information, that headlines are not really what's going on. You really have to figure out and look and see, is it really going to affect all this stuff? We have a lot of things going on. Like, you've got the government shutdown affecting airline travel wait times to get in. Those are realities, right? We've got gas prices going up because of the war in Iran. That's a reality. We've got all the geopolitical things going on in different areas. That is a reality. Maybe some of the Mexico travel being affected,
right?
So some of those are realities, but how is it actually affecting the consumer? We talked about how resilient the American consumer is, how much we actually work through this stuff, and is it really affecting the markets? Now, the media would love to have you believe that the sky is falling every single day, that we are at the end, right? It's going to be, it's over tomorrow and we don't know what to do about it. Like, those are what the headlines, those negative information sells, negative media sells. And so those businesses are never going to get in the business of spreading positive news or even just reality, right? We're not even, we have to take whatever reality is and highlight the parts that the sky is falling. So when we actually go look at spring break travel, because I actually have, this is the business we're in, so I actually happen to know some of the stats and some of the demand. Demand is still very, very strong despite all this stuff, and we've been watching it really closely because obviously in the short-term rental hospitality world, we rely on that demand and how much the consumer is traveling and spending and everything else, and we're seeing a lot of really positive signs. I saw the airline travel. And this is just barely updated this last week. This last Friday, it was like they're anticipating 100, well, you got highlighted right now, 171 million travelers to take to the skies between March 1st and April 30th, marking a 4% increase year over year.
Yep.
So more expensive, longer wait times, going to be more of a pain in the butt to jump on that airline. Yep. It's going to cost you more. Yet we're the consumer's like, yeah, we're still going, right? Hey, listen, we still want to go travel. Here we go. Yeah,
check that one out.
Yeah, Orlando International Airport said in total more than 7.4 million passengers are expected. This is going to mark an 8% increase over 2025, which was also a record year. So continuing to set records again in this space, and I kind of feel like a broken record sometimes talking about it, but here's why you have to really look at the data. And this goes for everything. This just happens to be data that we track and follow all the time. And we also track and follow the headlines. And the headlines are always going to be the sky is falling, right? And so if you're going to live your life on headlines, you're going to be depressed. Whatever drug you take for depression is probably going to be in your medicine cabinet, because that's a pretty sobering thing to always wake up to and read these headlines, regardless of what you're reading, because negative news sells. And so you have to peel back a few layers of the onion and say, is the demand really sliding? And right now, we're not seeing that. We're seeing that spring break travel is really strong despite all of those things. It is costing more. You are waiting in line. There are geopolitical things going on that are affecting where and how we're going to travel. Yet we're saying, hey, listen, we still want to go. And so, you were mentioning some of the trends and how they're traveling, how people are staying, and where they're going. So let's dive into some of that.
Okay. I think let me throw some other little stats out real fast. Okay, we also have car rentals, 4.8 8% increase in growth. We see that national parks saw searches for stays up 35%. We have AAA last survey, 5,000 U.S. adults shows 39% plan to take more vacations in 2026 compared to 2025. I mean, once again, there's other things. I mean, if you kind of are like cutting through the noise and you're trying to find the articles, there's some that say both, really. But it seems like the main ones are always sky is falling, and that's always a tough one. I guess you mentioned standing out in these like crowded markets. You know, if a lot of people are going, is this like music to our ears, or is this music across the board, you think? Just because there's so many travelers going, it continues to grow year over year. Does this mean that even middle of the market, lower people in the market are still going to have a boost, or is this really good for us?
I mean, if you looked up the actual, so the middle of the market is affected by RevPAR, which is revenue per available rental. That has actually been going up the last couple of years. It went up in 2025. I think it's expected to go up in 2026. So yeah, that does affect kind of that middle of the market. When you continually when we set demand records every single year, which is the dollars the consumer is spending on this space, every part of the market is helped, but it's not always proportionate, right? And so what you have to really pay attention to is where is that growth happening? And when RevPAR goes up, that means kind of the whole market is going up a little bit, right? It's distributed a little bit across the whole board. But if you start to see the top of the market getting an unfair share of that demand,
right?
Because there's more properties that are doing a better job, and the consumer has more choices at the top. They spend more money at the top of the market. We know that's the case in short-term rentals,
right?
And so as more people raise the bar and get into the top of the market, that still leaves that middle of the market struggling and the bottom of the market struggling. The top of the market continues to, and we see this in most markets, that done correctly, playing the game correctly,
right?
You know, that's where the disproportionate amount of money is being spent by the consumer. And we notice that when we really dive into the microeconomics of the demand, where the consumer's spending it, what they're choosing, why they're choosing it, all of those different things are super important to know. We're looking at like this overall trend, which is still a very good indicator of what's going on in consumer mindset. And so I want to go back to, you said, you know, there's articles that kind of say both good and bad, and you can kind of justify both.